Welcome to day 18 of Let's Get Exam Ready. Today we're looking at our final command term for ERQ questions, which is to what extent. A question that has the command term to what extent is likely going to be applied to a particular topic or concept in psychology. It's asking you to consider the merits of the argument. And a good way to think about this is think about this line from 0 to 100%. Behaviour really can't be explained 100% by one single factor alone. It falls somewhere along this continuum. So maybe it's 50%, maybe it's 70%. And therefore, what is the other factor that's affecting behaviour in some way? So for example, if a behaviour like intelligence can be explained by genetics and our environment, to what extent do genetics play a role? Is it 30% and it's 70% for the environment? Or is it 50-50? In a question with the command term to what extent, you will need to consider both sides of the argument. This is a past exam question which had the command term to what extent. You can see it's taken the topic from the socio-cultural approach of enculturation, and it's asking us to consider to what extent can enculturation affect human cognition and or behaviour. So we're accepting the fact that enculturation can't affect something 100%. We're considering where does it fall along this continuum and what other factors can also affect human cognition and behaviour if it's not 100% just enculturation. So we'd have to demonstrate our knowledge of what enculturation is. We'd have to include relevant research that shows enculturation does have an effect on human behaviour. But then to demonstrate critical thinking, we could consider how difficult it is and why it's difficult to actually establish 100% whether enculturation does affect human cognition or behaviour. What's the difficulty or the challenges we face when trying to establish a cause and effect relationship between enculturation and cognition or behaviour? What are the methodological considerations that need to be taken into account when trying to measure the effect enculturation has on behaviour? Is it an easy topic to actually investigate? Is it really possible to say for all people in all cultures that enculturation has the exact same effect? Surely there's a role of individual differences. And the role individual differences play can be discussed to help you consider to what extent enculturation does affect human cognition or behaviour. Are there any other alternative explanations, and is there any contradictory evidence that challenges the idea of enculturation affecting human cognition or behaviour? So a to what extent question is likely to take a theory or a concept in psychology and ask you to consider to what extent does it actually affect a behaviour or cognition. In this case, it was the concept of enculturation, but it could be any theory in psychology, like evolutionary explanations of behaviour. Remember, in psychology, there really isn't one concept or theory that can fully explain all behaviour. There's always another side of the argument, and a to what extent question is just asking you to consider both sides of the argument and consider to what extent can one theory explain behaviour, or to what extent can one concept affect behaviour. We finished looking at the 4 possible command terms now for ERQ questions in Paper 1 and Paper 2. Be sure to join us tomorrow for a roundup of top tips and expert insights to help you feel fully prepared for Paper 1.